Somebody turn the volume up on the world and turn the silence down. Woke up to a ringing in my head, 1,000 voices pulling at my thread. Every second screaming, don't be late, like time itself got sold for bait. They got my eyes, they got my time, dripping fear between the lines. Every scroll another chain, wrapped in pleasure, dressed like gain. Tell me who wrote this rhythm in my mind? Who taught my breath to race against time? There's static in my spirit, can't you hear it humming? Like a war for my attention, always drumming. They made anxiety the air I breathe. Now I don't even know what's really me. Oh Lord, who's holding the reins inside? Who designed this restless tide? I'm trying to find a quiet place to stand, but silence feel like contraband. Contraband.
Welcome back. Last week we talked about who is holding your attention. This week we're going to talk about the feeling that is almost always underneath the capture of your attention. Urgency. Urgency, that's that low-grade hum of something needs to happen right now. The sense that you're behind, that the world is moving too fast and you're just barely keeping up. That if you step away from the feed for even a moment, something important will happen without you. That feeling has a name, and it was designed. So come in, settle. This one's going to ask you to slow down in order to see clearly what has been keeping you moving so fast. Now, we are not anxious because our lives are genuinely dangerous. We are anxious because anxiety has become the price of participation in modern civilization, and someone is profiting from that price. Last week we talked about the architecture of attention capture, how the systems we live inside were deliberately designed and engineered to hijack the most fundamental capacity of your being, your attention. This week we're going to go one layer deeper because attention capture is not the end goal, it's the mechanism. The goal is something more pervasive, more profitable, and more spiritually costly. It's the manufacture of urgency. Urgency is the feeling that something must happen right now, that you are behind, that the world is moving too fast, and if you stop, even for a moment, something important will happen without you. Something will fall apart. Something will be lost. And that feeling is not your nervous system accurately reading reality. In most cases, it's a carefully cultivated response to an environment that has been engineered to produce it. So this lecture names the mechanisms. It traces urgency from the news cycle to the economic structure, to the nervous system, to the soul. And it asks the question that none of the systems profiting from your anxiety want you to ever ask. What if the emergency isn't real? Ta-da! You're not behind. You are being chased by something that was designed to make you feel that way. Yeah. To understand what manufactured urgency does to you, you have to understand what your nervous system was built to do. So your autonomic nervous system has two primary modes. The sympathetic mode, which is fight, flight, or freeze. And that exists for genuine threat. When a predator appears, when danger is immediate and physical, this system gets activated. Cortisol and adrenaline flood the body, your heart rate speeds up, accelerates, and your digestion goes on pause. Now, the prefrontal cortex, your capacity for complex reasoning and also long-term thinking, your ability to handle nuance and subtlety and creativity, this goes partially offline when the sympathetic mode is activated. And what takes over is the amygdala. So you're optimized for survival, not for reflection. Then you have the parasympathetic mode, which is rest, digest, restore. And this is where healing happens, where learning integrates into your system, into your life, where coherent decision making, that's where it happens. That's when it happens. That's when it occurs, where genuine connection is possible, where the practices that build a spiritual life can actually take root. These two systems are designed to alternate. Threat activates the sympathetic, threat passes, parasympathetic restores. Now, this is the natural rhythm of a regulated nervous system. The problem is not that the sympathetic system activates. The problem is what happens when it never fully deactivates. So you get chronic low-grade threat activation. And there's the baseline state of most people engaged with modern media, economic precarity, and social comparison environments. Yeah, you know these things. You're on social media, right? And you're just, I have that, I don't have that. Oh, I've got more than that, I don't have as much as that. That keeps the nervous system in this persistent, mild emergency. I got to do more, I got to know more, I got to be more. I'm not making enough money, economic precarity, things are going wrong. Modern media, it's just crazy. And it's not acute enough to register as a crisis. It's just present enough to prevent full restoration. So you're always just a little bit on. And the physiological consequences are well documented on this. There's elevated cortisol, like we already said. Elevated cortisol levels disrupt your sleep mechanism. So your whole sleep architecture and your immune function and your hormonal balance are all out of whack. You get chronically suppressed heart rate variability. So this is a direct measure of your nervous system coherence. And this correlates with increased risk of cardiovascular disease, and not to mention depression and burnout. So, and if you have a sustained amygdala activation, that's going to reduce your prefrontal cortex and the ability for it to engage. And it's your ability to make and embrace nuanced thinking and long-term decision-making genuinely harder. Not just more effortful, but genuinely harder to do and maintain. So on top of that, you've also got the hippocampus. And this you need critical for memory consolidation. So you might have a lot of memories, but they're not lining up. You can't put them together, and you can't hold on to them, and then you can't maintain context as a result. And your hippocampus, if it's always under the barrage of the amygdala activation, it's going to physically shrink under chronic cortisol exposure. Wow. Think about that. This is not a metaphor. These are measurable structural changes to your brain and body that occur when your nervous system is held in a sustained activation. So we've been studying people who have burnout and like what happened before. We've been doing this for a long time, right? So we know what happens to your nervous system when you feel like you're on, and you never get a break. Now, here's the crucial piece. Your nervous system cannot distinguish between a genuine predator, some reason to be really scared, and a threatening headline. Both of these things can activate you. Between a real emergency and a news alert, what's the difference to your nervous system? There's no difference. Between an actual danger and the ambience or the atmospheric sense that the world is on fire and you are not doing enough about it. The threat response gets triggered by perceived threat, regardless of whether the threat is physically real or not. And the architects of the modern information environment know this. They have built systems that generate the perception of constant threat. And they are profiting from the cortisol. See, your nervous system cannot tell the difference between a tiger and a breaking news alert. The cortisol is the same, and the damage accumulates the same. See, manufactured urgency does not arise from a single source. It's the convergent output of several interlocking systems, each of which has financial or political incentives to keep your nervous system activated. Now, understanding their architecture is not the same as dismantling it, but you cannot navigate what you cannot see. Consider the news and the news cycle. The 24-hour news cycle was not designed to keep you informed. It was designed to keep you engaged. Don't you love that word? Engagement. And the most reliable way to keep a human being engaged is to make them feel that something important is happening right now, and that disengaging carries risk. So then you have fear of missing out, of course. Fear-based framing is not incidental to news production. No, it's structural. Studies consistently show that negative, threat-relevant content receives more engagement than positive or neutral content. Duh, of course. The algorithm did not invent this dynamic, okay? It inherited it, and it amplified a principle that editorial teams have already internalized. Anxiety sells. The result is an information environment in which the ratio of genuine emergency to manufactured crisis is really all skewed toward the latter, manufactured crisis, and in which the consumer has no reliable internal instrument. So you don't have anything for distinguishing between, because your nervous system it's not built like that. So as humans, we have no way of distinguishing between what is an actual threat. So our threat detection system has been calibrated to respond to the signal of urgency rather than the reality of danger. Yeah, it's all an illusion. But not always. So this is one that is rarely spoken about directly, so let us be direct here. The dominant economic systems in which most of us are embedded require a baseline level of anxiety for participation. Yeah, you might think that's wild, but it's not. Consumer culture functions because people in a state of contentment do not consume at the rate required to sustain growth-dependent economies. Right? So advertising, the primary funding mechanism of the information environment, is essentially a technology for producing dissatisfaction. Think about it. You always need more perfect skin, so they sell you that. You always need to be the perfect curves or the perfect tone. You got to have the right hair. Everything about it, you're never good enough. And you can see it because people are going under the knife to make themselves more satisfied with what they already have. You're shown 1,000 times per day images of what you do not have, who you are not, and what your life is missing. The economic anxiety is even more direct. Precarity, the experience of financial instability, the threat of losing health care, housing, or unemployment or employment. Yeah, this keeps the nervous system in chronic activation in ways that suppress the very capacities like creativity, long-term thinking, cooperative behavior. So we're not getting along with each other. And that normally that would allow people to build different systems. We don't even get a chance to think about it because we're always on. So we never get a chance to reflect, restore, heal. Sustained economic anxiety is not an accident of poorly designed systems. It is a feature of systems designed to maintain a particular distribution of power. A population in chronic threat response is easier to govern, easier to sell to, and less likely to organize around alternatives. I have nothing against large companies trying to sell things to people. I do have a problem if they're doing it and never giving you a break. So polarization is not simply the organic expression of genuine disagreement. It is, in a significant part, a manufactured product of information ecosystems. And that they have discovered outrage generates more engagement than any other emotional state. We know this. People get angry and then the cortisol activates, they get mad, and you get a lot of adrenaline, and then when they're engaged. And the political urgency that saturates contemporary life, the sense that the election, the legislation, the appointment, the statement is the most important thing that has ever happened and that you must respond to it immediately. This is calibrated to keep you in sympathetic activation. Because a person in sympathetic activation is reactive, not reflective. They are easier to mobilize and harder to lose once mobilized. Because once you're mobilized, you're just easy. Just keep putting that carrot in front of you. It's a mean carrot, but it's dangling there right in front of you, and it just keeps you getting more and more. You're easy to get more passionate about. This is not a left or right analysis. The architecture operates across the political spectrum. It's not left or right or up or down. It's across everything. And its function is the same regardless of which direction it points. It's there to capture and sustain attention through manufactured emergency and to make the deactivation of that emergency feel like complicity. So if you see people who aren't with you, then they must be lazy or they're against you. Perhaps the most insidious layer is the one we have administered to ourselves. Productivity culture has taken the external pressure of urgency and made it internal. That's the tyranny of optimization. Gotta be perfect. The more weight attached to busyness, the ambient guilt of rest, the sense that your worth is a function of your output, and that any moment not spent producing is a moment of deficit. Many of the people listening to this lecture are not primarily being driven by external forces. Okay, they are being driven by a version of urgency that has been so thoroughly internalized it feels like their own voice, their own conscience, their own ambition. The first step in addressing that is recognizing it for what it is. It's not the authentic voice of your deepest values, but the successful colonization of your inner landscape by an external system's demand for your labor and compliance. Work, do it, work harder, work better. How many times have you heard that, you're not doing it well if you're not almost dead? The urgency that lives inside you often isn't yours. That's what I mean. It was placed there by systems that profit from your acceleration. So we've talked about manufactured urgency and what that does to the nervous system and how it's produced. Now we have to talk about what it does to the life of the spirit. Because the stakes of this conversation are not merely physiological or political. They are existential. The question of whether you can inhabit your own life, whether you can be present to it, available to it, moved by it. This is inseparable from the question of whether your nervous system is in a state of chronic activation or genuine rest. Let's go deeper. Presence. The capacity to be fully available to this moment, this person, this breath. This is not compatible with urgency. Urgency is, by definition, a forward orientation. It pulls consciousness away from what it is and toward what is not yet, what might not happen, what must be prevented or secured or done. The person living inside manufactured urgency is, in a very precise sense, not here in this moment. They are in the next thing, or the thing they missed, or the emergency that is always just ahead, or the anger that they feel about something that has already happened. And this becomes something to pass through quickly on the way to somewhere else. You're never, ever here. Every contemplative tradition in human history has understood that presence is the ground of transformation. You cannot be transformed by an experience you were not actually in. Should I say that again? You cannot be transformed by an experience you were not actually in. You cannot receive wisdom you were not available to hear. You cannot love someone you were not present enough to actually see. So manufactured urgency is at its core a technology for keeping people absent from their own lives. One of the most significant spiritual costs of chronic urgency is what it does to the capacity for discernment, the ability to sense what is actually true, what actually matters, what actually requires a response. Discernment is a slow capacity. It requires stillness, interiority, the willingness to sit with uncertainty before acting. It is the fruit of a regulated nervous system and a quiet mind, because it requires reflection. Urgency substitutes reaction for discernment, and you're always getting pushed to respond faster. Respond faster is actually a reaction. It produces the felt sense that you know what must be done and must do it now. That's what urgency substitutes. And it needs to be done before the window closes, before it's too late. That felt sense is precisely what the information environment is designed to generate. And it is extraordinarily difficult to distinguish from genuine inner knowing in a nervous system that has been chronically activated. Very difficult. Many of the decisions people regret most in relationships or in work and politics, and even in spiritual life, they regret most these things that were made from urgency rather than discernment. Oh, I just chose really fast. Oh, I just picked the wrong person. I picked the wrong work. They don't even think about it. They were reactions to manufactured pressure rather than responses to genuine inner clarity. There is a particular quality of exhaustion that lives beneath chronic urgency. Not the clean tiredness of genuine effort well spent. No, it's the kind that leads to deep sleep. If the genuine effort leads to deep sleep and morning renewal, so you feel better in the morning because you did something and you worked through it in the night. This is a different kind, this chronic urgency. It's a tired that does not fully resolve with rest. It's a depletion that goes down to the level of meaning. People living inside manufactured urgency for extended periods, they often describe the same experience. A sense of moving fast but going nowhere. Sound familiar? Maybe of accomplishing much but inhabiting nothing. And for some of us, it might even be the experiencing the world at our feet, but the weight of the world also on our shoulders. That is a paradox there. Maybe also being perpetually productive and profoundly empty. This is not a personal failure. It is the predictable outcome of a system designed to extract maximum output while providing minimum genuine sustenance. The urgency keeps you moving, then the movement prevents you from noticing the hunger. And when it surfaces, is quickly suppressed by the next emergency. Now, the frequency arc exists in part because this cycle has to be named before it can be broken. And naming it requires a space where the urgency is not operative, where you are not under the gun, where you are allowed to stop, where stopping is not laziness, but discernment, where the silence is not empty, but full. That many people are exhausted, not from doing too much, but from never truly resting. And they cannot rest because the urgency will not let them believe they have earned it. I want to be honest about what addressing manufactured urgency requires, because the popular version, slow down, practice gratitude, take a social media detox, those aren't wrong, but it is a surface level response to a structural problem. You cannot slow down your way out of a system designed to keep you moving. You see, when you slow down, you get like prodded like cattle. You cannot gratitude journal your way out of a nervous system that's been calibrated to chronic threat. Oh yes, I got it right in my journal. That's the same thing, just wearing a different jacket. You cannot take a break from urgency and return to find it gone because you're not creating it. What is required is something more fundamental. It's the development of an inner instrument sensitive enough to distinguish genuine emergency from manufactured crisis, and a nervous system regulated enough to act from that instrument rather than from the noise. You have your intention yet? The breath practices and the HRV protocols in the frequency arc system are not supplementary to the spiritual work. They are the physiological substrate of it. You cannot access genuine discernment from a nervous system in chronic sympathetic activation. You cannot be present to your life from a body that believes it is under constant threat. Coherent breathing, slow, rhythmic breath that brings the heart rate variability into its optimal range. Now, this is one of the fastest and most reliable ways to shift the nervous system from threat response to rest and restore. I do it with my kids all the time. When they get really excited, the first thing I tell them to do, breathe, slow down, breathe, take a deep breath in with me. Let it out. And you see them calm down immediately. If they listen to you, of course, and they do it with you. But 10 minutes of this practice is not self-indulgence. It's the preparation of the instrument through which everything else in your spiritual life happens. So you need to get your heart rate under control. You need to get your mind together so that you can focus, so that you can understand nuance. You know, people who are being creative are rarely out of breath or breathing shallowly. You see somebody who's being creative, a dancer is breathing deeply. It's not just like you pass out. Or somebody will lead you off a cliff. So, urgency literacy is the capacity to read urgency as a signal rather than simply responding to it as a command. Okay, and this asks in the moment of activation, is this real? Is this mine? Is this now? 3 little questions. Is this real? Asks whether the threat your nervous system is responding to corresponds to an actual present danger or manufactured perception of danger. Most of the urgency generated by information environments is in the second category, manufactured. The second question, is this mine? This asks actually whether this urgency arose from my own genuine values and commitments, or whether it was placed in you by an external system, media. Much of the urgency people experience around productivity or comparison and political engagement, they are originated outside of them and was successfully internalized, you see. Third question, is this now? This asks whether the action required is actually required this moment, or whether the sense of immediacy is itself manufactured. And most things that feel like they must happen right now can wait long enough for discernment to operate in first, you know? You get the discernment wheels rolling before you make a decision. These 3 little questions. These 3 questions, they do not make urgency disappear. They make it legible so you can read it. And what is legible can be worked with. And what is invisible runs the show. There is a practice that is simple to describe and genuinely difficult to sustain. It's the deliberate, repeated choice to treat the non-emergency as what it is. This means choosing today not to check the news in the first hour of your morning, not because the world is not real, but because your nervous system needs at least 1 hour of each day that is not calibrated to threat. You'll feel the difference. It means leaving the notification on your phone unanswered long enough to finish a thought. Lights flickering, beeps flashing, beeps beeping, and you can't think. You're just reaching automatically for the phone. It means also sitting in stillness for 10 minutes without the insurance policy of your phone nearby. Yes. That's what that means. This is what the practice of non-emergency is about. Each one of these choices is a small act of decolonization. Yeah, you've all been colonized. We've all been colonized. Yes. Each one is a signal sent to your nervous system that you are, in fact, safe enough to be here. Because if you don't feel safe and you're activated, you can't relax. You can't reach discernment. So that slowness, that the present moment is survivable. It's a slowness that is not negligence. It's slowing down. People say, oh, no, we got to speed up, go faster. If you go faster, you miss a lot. So over time, and these signals, they accumulate. And the nervous system learns through repeated experience that the urgency was not proportionate to the reality. So then it becomes more, your baseline shifts, not to complacency. Complacency is its own kind of abdication. No, it shifts to something more useful, the capacity to respond to what is actually real from a place that is actually grounded and with the full intelligence of a regulated human being. Now, I would like to close by offering you an invitation to a practice that is uncomfortable for a lot of people. Not because it's difficult, but because it requires you to stop moving long enough to feel what the movement has been covering. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because we also have a meditation or practice that you can go to the website and find. And this is the urgency inventory. It's an integrated practice. So first, what we need to do is find a position where you can be still. I'm not going to do it at the same pace as what we do in the practice. I'm going to speed it up here just a little bit. But find a position where you can be still. Not perfectly still, just settled enough to let something arrive, So I want you to keep breathing, and if you've got an itch, go ahead and scratch it. If you want to move your face, move your face. So it's not sitting that kind of still. I want to invite you to bring your mind to a point of rest. But in order to do that, let's first take a deep breath. One deliberate deep breath. And Let the exhale be longer than the inhale. I want to invite you to bring to mind the feeling of urgency. Not a specific urgent situation, just the feeling itself. The low-grade hum of, I need to get to the next thing. It might be very easy to access this feeling. To access the feeling of this, the sense of being behind, that ambient pressure. Now notice, where does it live in your body? Is it in your chest, your shoulders, your jaw, the back of your neck, your gut? What is the quality of the sensation? Is it tight, buzzing, contracted, hot? Now ask yourself, as honestly as you can, how long has this feeling been here? Not today. How long in your life has this particular hum been present? Now ask, is there anything happening right now, in this moment, in this room, in your actual body, that constitutes a genuine emergency? If yes, go tend to it, genuinely. If no, and for most people right now the answer is no, then what you are feeling is not a signal about your present reality. It is a conditioned response, a pattern your nervous system learned, perhaps very early, perhaps from systems designed to produce it, perhaps both. You do not have to fix this right now. Just know it for what it is. Take another deep breath. Longer exhale. That's the beginning of urgency literacy. Not the absence of urgency. It's legibility. The capacity to meet it, name it, and ask whether it deserves the authority it has been given. That capacity, built slowly over time, with consistency, changes everything. So practice this once today and again tomorrow. That's the work. Just keep practicing it. Take the time to acknowledge that feeling, that hum. Is it there? Where is it? Why is it there? Is it because something needs to be done? Or is it just a feeling that has been manufactured, that you have been calibrated to feel? That's the work. Now, the world will continue to generate urgency. The news cycle will not slow down. The economic pressures will not dissolve because you stop responding to them compulsively. The political landscape will continue to demand your reaction. The question is not whether urgency exists. The question is who decides which urgencies deserve your nervous system, your time, and your most careful attention. That decision, made consciously from a regulated body and a clear mind, That decision is one of the most significant forms of sovereignty available to a human being in this moment. It will not be popular. A regulated person is harder to sell to, harder to frighten into compliance, harder to keep engaged through manufactured crisis. The systems that profit from your urgency will not applaud you from finding your ground. But you will have your life back. The present one. The actual one. The one that has been waiting for you underneath the noise. That's what we've built together. Not escape from the world, the capacity to be fully in it without being run by it. Watching it happen without running with it. We'll see you next week. One last thing before I go. If you found this lecture, if something in it recognized you, I want you to know there's a community of people having this exact conversation. Not performing faith, not pretending certainty, just honest seekers doing real work together. It's called the Frequency Arc. Everything in it is free. Courses, practices, weekly gatherings, a forum where the real conversations happen. Come find us when you're ready. It's the Frequency Arc. That's the Frequency Arc.
Somebody turn the volume up on the world and turn the silence down. Woke up to a ringing in my head, 1,000 voices pulling at my thread. Every second screaming, don't be late, like time itself got sold for bait. They got my eyes, they got my time, dripping fear between the lines. Every scroll another chain, wrapped in pleasure, dressed like gain. Tell me who wrote this rhythm in my mind? Who taught my breath to race against time? There's static in my spirit, can't you hear it humming? Like a war for my attention, always drumming. They made anxiety the air I breathe. Now I don't even know what's really me. Oh Lord, who's holding the reins inside? Who designed this restless tide? I'm trying to find a quiet place to stand, but silence feel like contraband. Contraband. They sell me urgency in neon lights, turn my peace into a fight or flight. Every headline like a loaded gun, shooting truth till I come undone. They don't scream, no, they whisper sweet. Stay awake, don't miss a beat. But every beat just pulls me thin, till I can't feel my soul within. Was I born this way or taught to chase? Who benefits from my unrest, my pace? There's static in my spirit, can't you hear it humming? Like a war for my attention, always drumming. They made anxiety the air I breathe. Now I don't even know what's really me. Oh Lord, who's holding the reins inside? Who designed this restless tide? I'm trying to find a quiet place to stand, but silence feel like contraband. let it fade. Face the silence I was trained to evade, and in that hush I heard it clear, a voice that wasn't shaped by fear. No more static in my spirit, I can hear now something. Not a war, but a rhythm soft and coming. I don't breathe that anxious air no more. I found a stillness they can't commodify or store. Ain't no chains on this peace I found. I laid that urgency in the ground, and in the quiet I understand. Silence is my promised land. Turn it down.